you guys doing? Awesome, awesome. So where is everyone based? I'm based in Jakarta myself. And it's about noon time right now. Sydney. Awesome. Oh, nice. Auckland. That's cool. Charlie, where did you relocate from? Perth. Oh, that's yeah, that's quite a it's quite a relocation, eh? Hi, Winnie from Myanmar. Rajat from India. Awesome. Just gonna give a couple more minutes for the rest of the attendees, guys, before we actually start the session. Okay. Hi, Anu. Where at India? Because I know India is a huge country, and then we've had several clients from different regions. Okay. All right, guys. I think we're gonna go ahead and start. Okay, first of all, everyone, thank you so much for making the time for our core live demo for today. I'd like to introduce myself. So my name is Joshua Suryanto. I am the regional business consultant for the APAC region at COR. I'd like to thank you for joining this live demo that we have prepared for you. And the idea for this live demo and for this session and this meeting is to do a brief overview of the platform and give you a great look, a tour, if you may, of the solution and show you firsthand and live how our platform works and how your agency can drive operational efficiencies to the maximum with COR. So we'd love to for you to please take advantage of the session, ask your questions and participate. Don't worry, I personally never think that any question is quote unquote a dumb question. And most of the time when you ask those questions, everybody else have the same question anyway. So feel free to shoot those questions out in the QA button, and we'll tackle those either, during the session if it's, we're in a relevant area where we can answer those questions, or at the end of the session, of course. And I'll try my best to solve them all for you. So we have the chat room also, of course, and you can comment anything you want there. And that's about it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So go ahead and jump here. Okay, this is our agenda for today. So it's going to be a brief overview of COR, what we offer, and of course, we're going to walk through the platform and of course the Q&A session at the end. So what is COR? So in a nutshell, the way we describe COR is it's an all-in-one management solution for creative agencies. We automate timesheets through AI and machine learning to predict profitability, reduce work overload, and improve client engagements overall. So COR is the tool that allows you to comprehensively manage your agency's operations. So actually a little bit of background story of the tool and the history. So COR's founders are actually, they come from this industry and they encounter the same issues and challenges that a lot of other agencies are facing today, which is the industry is just very reactive, and it gets very challenging to scale and to move forward with such a reactive industry. You're going to have to do everything on the spot. It gets challenging to navigate those industry and overall scale. So what they come up with is this tool that helps you as an agency to take control of your operations better with actual measurable metrics, taking control of your time tracking information, and then from good, accurate, automated time tracking information, you can extrapolate all other insights like your profitability, the capacity of the teams, and the bandwidth, and whether or not we're actually scaling and making good overall bottom line numbers. So there are 4 components of COR. So the time management part, the resource management, the project management, and the profitability analysis. And we mentioned this part because it helps you to understand that COR actually does a lot. So it actually consolidates all of the tool that you already have on your tech stack right now. So it actually ends up being more efficient because everything lives on the same spot. It's one source of truth. Nobody has to jump around to different platforms and get multiple versions of the same data. Okay, so now we're actually going to jump right into the platform walkthrough. Alrighty, so welcome to COR. The way we're going to structure this demo and the way I typically do it is the structure of from the outputs part into the inputs part, or in speaking in terms of verticality, it's also the way you look at it. So from the top level down, so basically from the managerial level all the way down to the collaborators and the contractor, if you may, if that's how you set up your operations. Where will everybody live basically and spend most of their time in COR? Because being such a comprehensive tool, different people actually use COR differently, specific to their roles. Okay, so now we're in the metrics part, and this is the outputs part, right? So this is what you will get once you churn out all of that data. You make your inputs, you enter all of time tracking information, the budgets or your quotes, basically, how much time you spend and all the additional costs. It's going to give you this quickly accessible reporting function built into COR. So we do have a couple numbers here that we can go through just from the finance tab, on the finance tab here on the metrics section. We have budget, hourly cost, additional cost, overheads, profits here represented in the monetary form and the percentage format. So the budget is, of course, the quotes or the revenue that you're making. So once you enter a project, you enter what is the budget or the quote for that project, and that gets dumped into this bucket, basically what how much gross revenue you're making. And then the hourly cost is all the allocated hours that you put into a task or a project. So for example, if my rate is $10 an hour and I input 2 hours into a specific task for a project, that's $20 allocated towards this bucket, to the hourly cost bucket. Okay, so basically it's all the allocated hours towards specific projects. The additional cost is, of course, being in the creative industry, of course, there's going to be additional costs. Maybe you need additional vendors, additional materials, whatever that may be, that additional cost, transport that's related to a project to complete that will be dumped into this additional cost bucket. And then the overheads is just the general overhead of the business. So basically a percentage form, a percentage of everybody's salaries is how we calculate it in COR and overheads. You can play around on what approximately that percentage may be. But actually the way it calculates is it takes a percentage of everybody's salaries and gets dumped into that overhead. And of course, the main idea is for this budget number subtracted by all the 3 numbers, and that yields this profit number. And the main idea of this view particularly is just to give you at the managerial level a quick, accessible reporting at a glance, a 30,000 view, like very general, of how everything's running overall. And then, plus a little bit more, so you can see the finance chart reliability, the reliability of all the dashboards, and all the other insights that is available in this view that we're not going to have a lot of time to go through on this session because we'll spend the whole day. List of clients with better probability, and of course the list of clients with best results. At a glance, you can take a look at, basically which clients are actually better for you, and what type of clients are those, and how do you replicate them, right? But what's interesting about COR is that if you want to dig in deeper, you can take a look into data by company, and it'll show you the income versus cost, the company's profitability, and the clients is what I personally really like, because it actually shows you overview per client, and it'll show more detail on which client is actually performing for you, the hourly cost, the additional cost, the overheads, all the specific details and metrics that would be helpful for you in being proactive and navigating the industry, and of course, strategizing and planning for the future. In the project management tab, you'll see a project's overview, how many total projects, how many projects with income, projects with fee, without fee, total tasks. All of this data and insight is available for you very quickly, which is quite a contrast of what we saw in the industry in the past, which is typically what will happen if it's like a robust team or even a small team. You would have to go to a person or a specific team to request all of this reporting, and it'll take some time. And by that time, all this reporting will be quite irrelevant because it's from data from like a week ago or something like that, right? It'll just take overall a lot of time to just churn out. Okay. And on the people's tab, you can see on the C-level role, you can see every logged hours by user, and it'll indicate what roles they are or what levels they are. And it'll show you how who has been logging the most hours, and who has not been maybe perhaps doing as much in terms of logging hours, and that you can like show them and recommend them to maybe be more diligent in that area, right? Okay, so the other part that I'd like to show you that's still related to this metrics part is basically where do you get all this hourly cost number and all these numbers from, right? Because it comes with, if people come with rates, how do we set that up? So if you actually jump to the users tab right here, awesome. It'll actually show you, first of all, everybody in the team with their contact information, with the team they're associated with. So a person can be associated with multiple teams, and their monthly available hours and their cost per hour and their role. And why do we indicate this role part right here? Because it also determines their access level. So let's try to jump into Sam. So here is Sam. He's a C-level role. He has a lot of access to a lot of things, right? But if we perhaps say demote Sam from a C-level to a project manager role, you can see that immediately the pre-setup access level changes his what things that you can access, what things you can do from within the platform. So you can set that up as you need to. And also this is customizable. So you're not actually tied to just a pre-set up access levels. You can play around, and perhaps you want a specific person to have a very unique level of access. You can play around with the access levels on this dashboard. And on the employee info tab, it will show you their monthly income. And of course, the calculation is very, very simple. So just monthly divided by the monthly available hours yields this hourly rate. So we can see Sam here. He's a very expensive person, so we might not be involved in a lot of tasks, or maybe we have to make severe considerations when we want to put him into a task, right? Because that is going to yield on a lot of expenses for us. Okay, so now that we understand quite a little bit on the top level or on the outputs level, let's jump into the meat of it, basically how we set up projects in COR. So to set up projects in COR, obviously you can go ahead and start from scratch. But what I'd like to do, and what I'm going to show you on this session particularly, is how you're going to set up projects through templates. So we do have a project templates tab, which will help you to kickstart or jumpstart projects. On templates, you'll have basically the skeleton or the repetitive task, if you may be, when you set up projects. You can set that up with the estimated hours, typical start day and end day. And excuse me, of course, this is just a template, so you can, of course, make the adjustments later on. But what this does, it helps you structure your service level offerings, and also helps you to kickstart and jumpstart and just overall be more efficient when setting up projects. You don't have to do everything over and over again, just time consuming, right? So let's go ahead and start a project with a template. So just the plus button, set a project name. So let's do test. Let's see, live demo. Enter a random client. Let's pick Apple for this session. And we're going to choose a template. And hit create project. So as you can see, if you already have a template set up, you can kickstart a project in less than 5 clicks, I think, earlier. So, all right. So we already have here all the tasks set up. The estimated hours is already set up. All the person that is typically going to be assigned to those tasks already set up. A couple of things to notice here. We're currently in the projects tab, particularly we're on this project, the test live demo. The circles around the profile pictures actually indicate the capacity of this person in the next 2 weeks in real time. So a reasonable thing to do is, of course, pick somebody that's more available or not red. So let's pick this person. And if you want to take out this person, you can just hit this X button right here, and immediately that person is no longer part of this task. Okay. Let's assign basically one person for each task, what do you say? So let's pick this person. There's 2 on that task. So Carol. Awesome. All right. So now everybody's already allocated to each task. The platform is going to automatically make calculations based on the hourly rate of those people and calculate basically already the estimates of how profitable will this project be. So if we jump into a task, what I'd like to describe it right here is basically where all your classic project management features live. You can add your descriptions, you can share messages, you can share files. We have a couple of integrations with with Google Drive, with OneDrive, and several other platforms for storage. So it will be easy for you to transition. And the history of the task is also tracked. And of course, all the amount of hours allocated towards this task is also tracked right here. A couple of things other than that I'd like to show you. Of course, if you want to change the estimated hours, this comes from a template, right? So if you want to, let's say, actually this task will take 6 hours for this particular project, you can hit that and just make those changes really quickly. You can change the priority levels, the status, and even like the deadline if you want to make those changes as well. Okay. You can also create subtasks, and there's basically an infinite amount of tiers if you want to create subtasks in core, so you can keep creating and adding new basically new layers into this particular task. You can add checklists, so basically people can come in and see what has been done and what's not been done in this task also. All right. And if you want to start track reworks, or basically keep track of the submissions that need to be redone, you can click on these three buttons right here, click rework. So basically, if you made a submission to a deliverable, and then a client or internal team says you have to redo it. All right. So that just helps you to keep track of where the bottlenecks are and what's causing so much rework. So later on in the future, you can fine tune your processes and take a look at what's the holdup, right? Basically, what's the bottleneck and what's causing these issues, and how do we make everything more efficient overall? So you can, let's pick a client for this one, and you can add a comment. I'll just label this one rework. Accept. And from there, you already start tracking this task as one rework. Okay. Awesome. The other thing I'd like to show you is if you have multiple people, so like, for example, for this task, you have multiple people, you have 2 collaborators for this task, and the estimated hours is 10 hours. If you'd like for one person to work a couple more hours for this task other than the other person, you can basically customize the distribution of the hours. So let's say I want this person to work 7 hours and 3 for this person. For whatever that reason may be, right? Maybe you just want somebody that's more experienced to spend more time on this, or somebody that's more affordable cost-wise to be working, so you allocate actually less in terms of like financials to this task. You can fine-tune those processes as well from within core. Okay. And of course, if you want to track time here, we have a timer right here to start a timer for this task, or you can manually log time as well. There's a lot of ways where you can track time in core. We try to make it very intuitive and very efficient for people that just want to input their time really quickly. So we basically just set up this project a couple minutes ago. And if you jump into this profitability tab, you can see the platform already starting calculations on the projected result for this project, right? So just based on how many hours are put in, how expensive, and the rates of those people that are allocated, it already started projecting the result of this project. And if you want to add additional costs, you can just click this button, add a concept, add a date, and the label, and just input your numbers right here, and they'll be added to the calculation immediately, right? But this is a project that we just start, and nobody has done any time tracking. Nobody has inputted any numbers yet. So I'd like to show you what happens when people actually complete all their time tracking, all their inputs, and the profitability tab. You can start seeing the projected and the current numbers, which is the reality of what has been happening, right? Based on the inputs that people have been making. So the hours, the projected hours is 152. We actually save a bit of money. And then the additional cost is actually on point right here, right? But the most interesting part is when you completed a project is you keep track of tasks with more deviations. And deviations basically just means the gap between your estimates and the actual time that has been tracked, or the elapsed time, right? So for example, this platform review task, we estimate 1 hour, actually spent 8. And of course, there's a lot of exaggeration for this demo platform. So excuse the exaggeration for the session, but that's 7x of what we predicted, right? But it helps you to see what can you fine tune, right? Whether it may be, you might have to renegotiate with your client to say, hey, Mr. Client, actually, on that past project that we did, we're actually losing money. So because we underquote ourselves. So you can renegotiate with your clients on what the quote should be, or you can opt for another route. Let's say you choose to pick more affordable resources and set up this project in a way that will maintain that bottom line, right? Without hurting that you could set up at more people without hurting the overall bottom line. Okay. And in the task tab, if you'd like to see how everything's flowing as well, you can see the Gantt chart. It'll actually show you what task and what everybody's been doing. And you can move things around in the Gantt chart as well. But of course, this is just specific to this branding project that we're in right now. If you'd like to see what everybody's really been doing, jump into this Gantt chart right here. And it will show you what everybody is going to do in this period of time and what everybody's been doing, right? I'll show you also the capacity of people indicated in the profile picture circles that we saw earlier. And one of the best things about this is actually this is drag and drop. So if you want to take something off of somebody's plate, let's say you want to take this task and allocate this right here, you can just do it from there. And it'll automatically send notifications to both of these people that, hey, this person, Milagros, has been tasked or allocated on a new task, and it'll send a notification to them so they're aware, of course. And also, it immediately affects their capacity in all the other dashboards as well. So you don't have to worry about that. And there's a lot of filters that you can play around here. So if you want to go for specific clients, you want to take a look at people that are involved with specific projects, specific teams, there's a lot of things and a lot of navigational tools that you can play around with COR. It'll take us a whole day if we just go through them all for today's session, right? And you can view this on a weekly, bi-weekly, or a monthly basis. And one of the cool things is if you click on a person's profile picture, so let's say Martine's right here, it'll actually show you how many available hours they have for the rest of the week, right? So today's Wednesday. So it'll show you Wednesday to Friday, how much time they have left. For Martine right here, he's packed for the rest of this week. So it might not be a good idea to put more things on his plate for this week, right? Okay, so we've gone through the projects and the Gantt chart. One other thing that I'd like to show you is if we just jump into this projects tab, it'll show you all the active projects, the status, and all of these smiley faces right here indicate the profitability or the efficiency, or what we like to call in COR, the project health, right? So this indicates whether or not you're reaching your profitability goal, whatever that goal may be, right? You can play around with the numbers and the percentage, what you define as a profitability goal, but it'll indicate it for you whether or not you're reaching those goals in the smiley faces right here. So of course, obviously smiley faces means you're doing well, frowny faces, you spent a bit too much, and of course there's the yellow faces or the flat faces, right? It indicates you're probably just breaking even. It'll show you also at a glance on this dashboard, the members, the quotes, the performance, and the frequency, whether it be maybe you're working on a one-shot project or you're working on a retainers fees on a monthly project. Everything available for you at a glance right here. Okay. So now that we've gone through sort of the mid-level, maybe like where the project managers will live and how they assign tasks and set up projects, let's jump into where everybody, basically collaborators, how would they see what they have to do, right? Basically, the goal for them is to spend as little time in COR, right? To just log in their time, see what they have to do, and then get back to work, right? So to do that, you just jump into this task tab. So early in the morning when you start your day, just jump into the task tab. It'll show you what the to-do list basically for today. But this is quite disorganized, right? It's sorted by deadlines. Of course, you can play around with the sorting and on this dashboard. But if you jump into my task, it'll actually organize it by today and this week. And you can prioritize and plan your day according to what you're seeing right here. And it will show you the status of the projects. If you like to change the status of the task, you could just hover over this button right here and click the statuses that you want. Maybe you want to work on things based on the priority levels. You can do that also, right? You can play around with the filters, add tasks, everything is available from you on this dashboard right here. And if you prefer another view, maybe like this one's too convoluted for you, maybe you prefer a card view, you could just jump into here and it'll actually organize everything for you in a card view, which is I personally prefer because I think it's just more user friendly and I think it's nicer to the eyes for me. And of course, what's simple when you go right here is you can drag and drop all this task to change the statuses as well. So it really helps to make things more efficient. You want to change task statuses, or we just want to jump in this project. Everything's quite easy to navigate within COR. Okay. So in our earlier presentation, we talked a bit about time tracking and how we involve machine learning and AI to accurately time track in COR. So if you jump into this hours tab right here, this is one of the easiest ways where you can, as a collaborator or even as a project manager, to log in your time, to track your time basically for the day. And if you see this blue bubbles right here, this is the platform recommending you the typical time you spend on a typical task like this. So basically how the algorithm works is it takes into account the activities, the events, and basically just the overall user interaction between the platform and the user to spit out a suggested time tracking info for tasks. So let's say you spend a couple of hours on a task Monday morning, and now it's Friday night. Who remembers how much time you spent on that Monday morning task, right? So with machine learning and AI, it actually helps you not only to do this quicker, because you can just click this button and confirm the suggestion, but also just to have more accuracy in that regard, right? And if you disagree, let's say this suggestion right here, and if you want to make the edits, and actually I spent a little bit more time on that, you can just make those edits and hit right there. And it'll change that right away, and it'll track time in the weekly chart here. You can see something change in the chart here as well. Okay. And if you are on a more managerial standpoint, and you want to see who has been working on what and how much time has been people spending, so you can jump under this timesheet tab. You'll see how much time have people been tracking. Basically, all the colors other than green on these boxes is bad, right? So red means they're calculated incompleted hours, basically mean either they have not been logging their time as diligently, or maybe we need to assign them a couple more projects because they have not been assigned as enough project and we're not maximizing our resources, right? And if they're blue, basically means they've been working way too much, okay? And all the blue text right here is the platform recommending us the appropriate time tracking information for this person on this day. So Alvaro, it'll actually show you the calculation of how it recommended the 3 hours. So on this particular project. So if you want to accept that, just hit the check mark and it automatically tracks time that way. So this is really helpful because it turns time tracking from what typically is a lagging indicator, something that is done probably late in the week or something at the end of the day, to a leading indicator. Helps you to be more proactive and more agile in planning from a managerial standpoint and planning for the future, right? And strategizing for the future and plan ahead, basically. And if you prefer to have this person, let's say the platform is recommending 4 hours, but I want Alvaro to log his own time, right? So you can just click this button, the request review button, and it'll send a notification to Alvaro to log his time for this particular time and place for this particular day. So it helps you to maintain people to be more reliable and be more accountable, right, of their own time. Just send them a little nudge and a reminder to track their time for the day. Okay, so now that we've gone through basically quite a lot of features in COR, we've gone through the metrics and how, where the management team will see the reporting where the project managers will set up projects and allocate people to tasks, and how you view the Gantt, and what those Gantt indicate and how you can plan from there, and where the collaborators will basically track their time and see their to-do list. For this session particularly, we're gonna end right there. So let's jump back into the presentation. All right. So now that you've seen quite a lot of core, so I'd like to just spend a little bit of time on what's why is core different and why it's more than just software for us. Because we also have, when you onboard with core, we actually don't just leave you with a platform and say good luck. We actually have a specialized customer success team that will help you and guide you with the use of the tool and help you meet your with your goals, right? Help you meet your business objectives, basically. So the training, the structure of the training is actually, it's going to, our CSM team is going to plan a specific training for specific roles, because like I've mentioned, core being such a robust and comprehensive tool, people will use it differently. So the training is going to be catered for specific roles, so you don't have to worry about that. And the other support items that we have in learning with core is also, we have live chat with support. There's a core academy button or a help button in the platform immediately for you to access. We also have webinars like these, and we have video tutorials on Core Academy, our resource center. And of course, we have a lot of articles and blogs and case studies that you can access in the platform as well. Okay. So now, as the part of the session where we will jump into the Q&A part. So please feel free to shoot your questions right now. So I'm seeing right here from Peter. So if another teammate tries to assign a task to someone who is at capacity, will you be notified that the individual is booked on a pre-existing task? So basically what I'm understanding here, Peter, so please correct me if I'm wrong. So if another teammate tries to assign somebody that's already at full capacity, will you get a notification that this person is already fully booked? Am I getting that right, Peter? Maybe you can confirm. So the way when you assign a task that is already to somebody that's already full capacity, first of all, it's going to even before you assign those tasks, right, it's going to show you that this person is at capacity. So it might not be a good idea for you to just drag and drop a task to that person. But in terms of like notification, to my knowledge, it's not going to notify you. However, that person that's already at capacity will get that notification, right? That notification that, hey, you just get assigned a new task. And that person then can sort that out from there. So it'll send a notification to the person that is assigned the task, basically. I hope that answers that question, Peter. Any other questions that would like to be asked for this session for now? I'm not seeing anything else. Any other questions perhaps about the platform? Oh, right. Which integration does Core offer? So in terms of integration, we do have, if you just jump into our website, we have a lot of, we actually show you the list of integrations that we have for now. But namely, the things that I can mention on top of my head, it's like OneDrive, Google Drive, and Dropbox. So a lot of those storage platforms are already integrated in Core, so it'll be easy for you to drag and drop files and drop them in Core if you'd like to. We do have integration with QuickBooks for now also. And if you want to integrate that to Core, we do have that running right now as well. Actually, we have a new question right here. Is this a browser-based, or do we have a client with which we could work offline? So Core is browser-based, so you do need integrations. I'm sorry, you do need internet connection to be able to access Core. So yeah, offline work for right now is not something that's available. And tell me about integrations with SFA and CRM tools. So in terms of CRM tools and SFA, I'm not currently aware of any integrations in regards to that. But we do have integrations with Zapier, which helps us to automate certain tasks and helps COR to talk to other applications and other platforms as well. It actually functions really well as a workaround without having that native integration in COR. So, okay. So seeing a couple more questions here. How do you search and find old jobs? What is the search function does, and what is the search function? Does every project get assigned a number? So every project you can assign labels to them. So if your team has a certain way to label the projects on your own format, you can do that in COR. But automatically, actually, when you start any project, that project gets assigned a number or like an ID, basically, so you can track those projects easily. So without having, of course, to fumble through like several search queries. Okay, the other, probably the last question we'll ask for, we'll get through for the day. Can we say consolidated ops report at the account or a client level? Yeah, so basically when you jump into the metrics level, you actually can see a reporting of that specific client, but there's also a client tab, which gives you a little bit more data, a little bit more insight information for a specific client and account. You know, it'll show you basically how much projects they've hired you for and whether or not those have been going well, and whether or not those have been profitable, how much task, how much time have you spent on this particular client. Those ops reports are available as well. Okay. Okay, guys, I think for today's session, we're going to end right there. I will be, if you'd like, of course, to learn more for a personalized session, you can obviously schedule a call with us directly on this following calendar. Let me drop it into the chat. Oh, actually, yeah, it's on that chat right there. It's on the message. Thank you guys for joining in. I hope you had a great rest of the day. I hope you learned a lot and had a great time on this session. Thank you. Bye.